Not one, not two, nor three, no topic left behind. Welcome to it. I'm your co-host, Mark Elliott, along with remarkable Renee. How you feeling?
Mark, I am absolutely amazing on this day and glad that we are at it again.
I'm happy to be at it again too. And for some reason, I get a funny feeling you're amazing every day. You feel amazing. You may not just want to own up to it, but I got a funny feeling you feel amazing every day.
You know what? Even if I have pockets of not, I still make it an amazing day.
There it is. There it is. I love what we're doing. I love we're taking topics and going behind them and not leaving anything left behind. And you sent me a topic the other day, basically sisters healing.
Yes.
When I saw that, of course, I stopped and I started to think and ponder a little bit. And ironically, we don't really kind of think about the healing of a woman for the most part. We assume at some point she just kind of comes to her way and we kind of wait for it. But a lot of times that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's absolutely crazy. Um, you know, having having seen the things that are playing out before us. And um I don't know a lot of places that are taking and dissecting these topics the way we are. I mean, but that comes with being uniquely us anyway. You're uniquely you, I'm uniquely me, right? But bringing these things to the forefront to speak about them, and like you said, the whole sisters healing kind of I ran across a reel on social media, and it kind of grasped me. Me being that I've been married, we've talked about that before. So I've been in a blended family, and I was the woman in that, or the wife in that blended family, that did everything possible to make sure that those children coming into that family knew that they were loved, knew that they were accepted, and pretty much, and I'm gonna make this statement, and if you want to go in and on it, I would love to make them feel just as important as my bio children, right? And so when I got this reel, or when I watched this reel, it was the former wife or ex-wife of Muhammad Ali. And we know it's in the news now that, Layla Ali is set to possibly fight. I want to say her name is Clarissa. I don't want to mess up her name, but I believe it's Clarissa or Carissa. And
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and with that being said, the ex-wife of Muhammad Ali kind of tells Clarissa, like beat her up, make sure you hurt her, whatever. It's like it was pretty much like, yeah, hurt her. And when the person asked her about that, she's like, I don't care how much it's going to be. Ali is going to get her tail whipped. And the person kind of talking to her was like, wow, like, what a way to look at it. And her statement after that is what really put me in a chokehold. She's like, because her mother was with my husband. I'm
Living and letting go.
thinking,
Living and letting go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I mean, Mark, first of all, we're looking at this woman who is well of age. And for you to, one, speak something or spit something so venomous at that age, when you should be in a position that you're helping navigate a positive outcome for our younger women, and you're still in a space where you're stuck in your emotions and your feelings, that you would take it so far as to almost have a diabolical laugh or sinister's voice about hurting someone else. That put me in a chokehold, Mark.
I can understand that. I want to go back to what you said earlier, and I commend you strongly for feeling what you felt when you were part of a blended family for the other children and making them feel like they're basically coming out of your womb. And that doesn't happen often in blended families. It really doesn't. But I've noticed over the years, realistically, and this goes kind of both sides, but we're
It
talking about
does.
healing of a woman. So I'll stay on the woman's side for the most part. If the woman has any animosity towards the other woman, it starts to get played out how she treats the children.
Hmm.
It's hard for her to separate the two. Now, if there's no animosity there, It's still not a guarantee she's going to be warm to the children. But if there's any slight animosity there, slight, it could be small, she finds it hard to have that compassion, that empathy, and feel for the children. Now, people may not like to hear that, but it plays itself over and over again. So to me, that makes a blended family hard. And at the same time, when you think about blended families, it's nice that a man and woman decide to become one and they're together, but don't forget about the children you're bringing together. Don't forget about what they're experiencing. Don't forget that they're being taken from one partner,
Absolutely.
one parent, and they're being basically brought to another, and they need time to adjust. You have to kind of basically put your mind into their mind and play that role. Just don't assume they can adapt easily and fluidly. And a lot of times, that's what we think when we do blended families. We just bring them together, let the chips fall where they may. That's not the way to raise children. So I like what you said. And I would hope that more women feel what you feel and take that role and forget about the bitterness. Because just what Ali's ex-wife said, she slept, whatever the case may be, adults do their things that have nothing to do with children. It
Absolutely.
just doesn't. And another thing about unhealed women, in my potential, in my perspective, a lot of times your unhealedness seeps down into your children, blended family or not. It just seeps down. If you've been hurt prior and you're trying to raise your child and you're not aware that you're hurt, you try to act like you're not hurt, you're not dealing with it. There are certain things that you're passing on to that child that you may not be conscious of. And to me, that's real. And a lot of times, if they even know, they just don't care.
Yeah.
They really don't care. So it's really huge when you say, yes, you look at Layla Ali getting ready to fight. Layla is probably, if I had to guess, early 40s, I'm going to think.
I believe they did say about 40.
Yeah,
Yeah.
early
About
40s.
40s. Yeah.
So I don't, Muhammad Ali has been passed for several years. Several. Okay. So whatever her mother did with Muhammad Ali, you should be over by now. Clear and simple. That should not get cast on to Layla Ali at all. It just shouldn't. So when you,
It shouldn't. And like you said, Mark, to be carrying that, right? And the thing about it is, and this again, it kind of went so many ways for me. And again, Renee has stories. Um, we talked about my oldest son passing away at 28. And because I showed up like I showed up, I had that experience with kind of a I'm sorry, with the Muhammad Ali ex-wife thing, to the point where when my oldest son passed away, his stepmother literally got in the pulpit, when there was families making their remarks. She got in the pulpit and said, "To my husband." Now, this is at a homegoing service, Mark. She said, "To my husband, everyone has gotten up here and spoken so highly of his mother, but I don't hear many people speaking about you. And I want them to know that you are an amazing dad. And don't worry, because you still have another son." And that was her son that he had by him. And the reason that I'm putting that story out is because from that hurt woman, if that woman happens to have her own children in that relationship and she's not resolved any pain or any challenges or whatever she perceives her husband or ex-boyfriend or whatever to be with his former mate who he created a child with, that even in the demise or even in that, you will now try to put another child in that place, which causes resentment, even though it didn't in this case, because of course my son's siblings from me were older and not involved with her, and her siblings were not really, I mean, her children were not involved with my children as siblings or whatever. But the fact that you can be that callous to tell someone, and there's 2 points I want to make with this, to tell a whole church of people, talk over the pulpit, don't worry about it, you have another child. One, you can't replace a child. And that's why it's so important to, just like you said, to invite that child in and give them what they need. But I wanted to just say it from this perspective, for her to go up and say that, because I want to twist this for a second. Everyone's speaking about this parent who has showed up. So that says something as well. Now, hear me out, Mark. I'm kind of sounding like a Baptist preacher where I'm going to the left and I got to reel it back in.
Hmm.
What happens with that is when I was married, I had a male, my husband, who was not active in his children's lives. And so I took on that role and almost tried to force a relationship in that, making them have a relationship. I was the one making them have father son time and things of that nature or whatever. And to that, I'm saying we have to speak to what that other person or that other parent, that absent parent, whether it be physically or by choice or by force, what that does to that, to anger that woman to become so callous and treat other children in such a way.
Now, let me back up a little bit. So you said you had to make them, in a sense, bond. This was his child, his birth child. He was doing
These
this
were
with.
his, yeah, this was his bio child. Yes.
Okay, all right. You know, it's sad that you would have to do anything of that nature, realistically. Um, I understand you doing such, but bonding should happen naturally, or maybe it
Hmm.
doesn't need to happen at all.
Right.
And that's kind of a way to kind of I approach it because you can't force that. I can't force you to love someone.
Right.
Yeah, I can't make you love someone. Either it's in
Because it
your
actually it turned into resentment. Like the
oh,
children were
absolutely,
resenting
because
me for making their father.
absolutely, because in reality, it's going to happen because they're looking at why you because they can feel he
Yes.
doesn't care. And then it's like, why are you? And they realize that's not going to be legitimate. Why are you forcing something that's not naturally happening? So in reality, you were forcing to what you want to see come through and happen, but it's just not there.
Yeah.
And that's what happens sometimes, even in blended families. It's okay if the others don't tend to like the new mother. They don't tend
Right.
to like the new father. You can respect a new parent without loving them. There's no need to feel like you have to, this person has to be the great dad or great mom, but the kids should still feel cared for, nurtured, and wanted.
Right.
Wanted. That's one of the key words there is wanted. And a lot of times in blended families and blended relationships, you
Yes.
can just take it
Yes.
away from, families, the child may not feel wanted. It's just not. And ironically, I'm sitting there thinking when you said about you force, I remember years ago when I became a father at an early age. I said that before.
Hmm.
And my daughter might have been 5 or 6. And I was dating this woman that had no children. And she felt the need to step in. I said to her, my daughter has a mother.
Oh yes.
She doesn't need for you to act like a mother to her. Just be you.
Hmm.
Realistically, you don't have to, there's no bridge you got to cross. If you just naturally be yourself, she's going to do one or two things. She's going to like you or she's going to dislike you. That's her choice. I'm not going to make her do either or.
Hmm.
But if I chose to be with you and you're going to spend time with her, she's going to think enough for me to think that I allow you to be there.
Absolutely.
So my point is, there's no need to work yourself up into a frenzy because you're never going to replace her mother. No
Absolutely.
matter what you and I do, you can't step over her mother. You didn't give birth to her.
But that will also bring a complex to that woman, right? Looking to indirectly fill a role, like you said, that was never asked to fill. So now she's conjuring up a complex that I have to, especially one, like you said, without a child. Now I have to find a nurturing, mothering self to be, which kind of brings you out of maybe your own characteristic to become something that you don't have to be when you can organically just kind of merge into something as as characteristic roles, but not trying to take on the title. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I'll say this about children. They are some of the best heart detectors out there.
Hmm.
If you place a child around somebody and their reaction is not that good, check that person.
Absolutely.
Because they pick up on things quietly that maybe adults might be overlooking because we got our eyes clouded and trying to, start a new love of that nature. But a lot of times they pick up instantly and don't feel comfortable there. And
And
give
Mark,
and if you
I'm
communicate with them, if you have open communication, and they will express that to you. But I want to go back to something when we talk about blended family. Actually, I want to go away from blended family just for a second,
Hmm.
and I want to go back to the unhealed woman.
Yeah, because I was gonna. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because to me, that's something that doesn't get a focus enough. Because we talk about women and we'll just say she's unhealed. Well, damn, she's 60, 70, 80 years old. What does that to say somebody at that point haven't taken time out to heal themselves? So why is it that we can basically, in my opinion, feel like an unhealed woman should just be dealt with, understand she has these problems, the case may be, but why she's not taking responsibility for presenting herself as being unhealed?
Well, I want to first kind of even just kind of maybe say some things that would that cause that person to need some things that person needs to heal from, right? And we're talking, we kind of, like you said, started with like the blendedness. So we're talking about that woman with children or whatever. But when you have a woman who has certain feelings towards the physical creator of that child, it tends to, of course, as you said before, they're going to take it out on the child. So in that case of the real and, Muhammad Ali's ex-wife, I'm going to hurt you, or I'm hurting because of what this person did to me. So because I am not in a place where I feel like I can hurt them, I believe maybe the closest thing to them would be their child. So let me hurt them. So like you said, kind of dealing with, I have not healed from whatever emotional, psychological, or maybe even physical wound somebody I've experienced at the hands of someone else, right? So once we experience that thing that causes us pain or trauma, dissatisfaction or whatever, and we don't sit to process first where that trigger came from, right? Because everybody just, and I know this might sound crazy, but Mark, to some female, her mate being uh some infidelity may not even move that female. It's like it's whatever. To another, it may be the most devastating thing that take her to a place to decide whether she wants to live again. You understand what I'm saying? But whatever that emotional wound is, sitting with it, figuring why it's triggering, and then again, we talk about this word a lot, accountability. Going, I will make the choice and the decision to get past, no matter whatever it takes to get past this thing that has wounded me to the point where I now have hardened my heart with resentment or bitterness or hate or unforgiveness. Because those are the things that cloud our judgment and our perception. It's all the matter of the heart.
Remarkable, Renee. I understand all of that. Trust me, and I get it. And I'll go back to what I kind of asked.
Mm-hmm.
We're not holding them accountable for healing. We can understand why they're not healed all
Mm-hmm.
day. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
realistically, we can lay that out. But let's
Mm-hmm.
go back to Layla Ali, the situation you presented.
Mm-hmm.
This woman, if you look at the video, she actually might be in her 60s, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she's in her 60s. Mama Ali has been passed for, let's say, roughly 15, 20 years.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even
Oh,
realize that.
yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't pass. He didn't pass last year. Okay, again, Layla Ali probably was a child when this happened. She's in her 40s. So we're talking about X amount of years of unhealing. So to
Oh,
me, hang on a second, hang on one second,
yes.
hang on a second. She's not approaching, in my opinion, my humble opinion, she's not approaching trying to heal. If she's walking around want this woman beat up real bad and speaking the way she hasn't approached it over the years. I want to focus on that some because that's the hang on one second. That's the part.
Because I'm
No, no,
excited. Go ahead.
I got you. That's the part we don't really focus in on. We'll talk about all day why she's hurt, why this happened, who did what, he did this, what the case may be. But guess what? At some time, you got to start the healing process. So if you even look at her, it's been an X amount of time, she has not dealt with it for whatever reason. And that's what I'm asking. I'm not asking what happens and who did what, and it might have been a hard time in her life. Those are trial and tribulations. And we
Mm-hmm.
all live through them, granted. But we are supposed to try the process of healing. At least give it
So
an attempt. So to me, if years are going by, clocking 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and you're still in the same place with the same hurt, that's what I want to focus on. And I see this quite a bit when it comes to healing. And we'll say, I'm still healing. Well, what have you been doing? And
Right.
I'm not saying there should be a time period on healing, but at some point, are you really trying to heal? Are you trying to hang on to those emotions? And to me, if you look at that video, she has carried those emotions in a Louis Vuitton suitcase
Mm.
over the past several years.
Well, let's go here, Mark, because you said some stuff, and that's why I got excited because I think we had a conversation as well where I asked this question, who's holding women accountable? I think we had talked about that before. And we always say this, like I said, kind of going back to the accountability piece. You're right. You have to ultimately make a choice to look at the man or the woman in the mirror and say, I choose to change. Nobody can make you change, right? You have to first hold yourself accountable, but then be in amongst others who hold you accountable, right? And sometimes women holding women accountable looks like catty, looks like jealous, looks like mean girl to the person who doesn't want to change. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to throw a little twist to this because you're absolutely right. I also believe that your village that you're in as well, being in places where people will hold you accountable as well. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to make this a religious war or get on anything like that. But if you are in, NOI, the Nation of Islam, and you are in a position, especially at that age, that you're teaching younger women and you're queens and you're living this way, who do you have or allowing in your circle or who is woman enough to look like she's being catty, jealous, or mean girl, who will hold you accountable and check her and say, sis, you out of order. You need to look in the mirror and go, hey, check it. It's been umpteen years and I'm still feeling this way. Right? That's telling me. And again, when we said like looking at, given the reasons, your behavior and patterns are still the same. If you're spewing out venomous statements like this, you need to check you.
Okay. If you ever notice,
Hmm.
certain fish swim with certain fish. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
realistically, the unhealed is going to swim with the unhealed.
Hmm.
Remarkable. And that's part of the reason why they're going to stay unhealed. Now, when I say that, meaning that they're basically in a group of other unhealed women. So they can have these unhealed parties, these unhealed conversations, and therefore they're not going to put themselves in a situation or in a group of healed women. Because in reality, they're not seeking to be healed.
Yeah.
They're not seeking. Now, even in her case, she's seeking for a sense of revenge. She's
Yeah.
not seeking to be healed. So that's when I say the focus about healing. And it's about accountability in a sense. Yes, it's true. But are they striving to be healed? Or are they
But I
spending
think with
more
her,
are they
I think
spending
with
more
her.
time replaying what brought them the pain?
Well, you know what? And that's the thing, when you rehearse, like you said, when you rehearse that, then no, you're going to keep on coming up with the same thing. But ultimately, like we were talking about, though, Mark, the person has to make that choice. And, everybody doesn't have or seeking that emotional intelligence. They like to stay stuck where they are. And I'm like, so in that sense, I mean, given a biblical scripture, it says, when you come into your own and they receive you not, shake the dust off your feet. Now, I know I live by that one. If I come amongst those who are not looking to change, it's not for me, in a sense, to force or pull or push. If I can already see that that's not where you're going, I can't give you my time and my energy and actually begin to decline myself to put you in a place where you don't want to be. You have to show me that something. But I want to go here as well. We're talking about the healing and the healing of the unhealed woman or being unhealed. I think what we're doing also, though, Mark, is we're throwing around buzzwords like I'm healing, I'm in the process of something. But ultimately, I'm not going to say the only, the best way we can see if someone is in a process of healing or healing is their behavior and patterns.
No, I sign off on that. I do. I mean, I sign up for that. Again, I'm just speaking to the focus of healing
Yeah.
because the unhealing is so detrimental. And for a woman that may be a mom, it's detrimental for her children. It's detrimental for the children she's trying to raise. and she may not be aware of it. You can't
Mhm.
carry all of that around and not affect what's intimately around you in your circle, your children. It's hard not
Mhm.
to. And sometimes we have to think of others to even better ourselves. When I say that, meaning if you realize you're in that situation, you're in Hill, and you realize it's not good for your kids, it should force you to do better in Hill. It really should. Not just say, well, I'm going through, it's going to take me a while to process. No, it needs to be done because they don't need to be affected by this. If for whatever
Right.
reason the choice happened that happened, but they shouldn't have to bear the brunt of your unhealingness. So it may
Um,
sound like I'm beating the same drum, but that drum needs to be beat because
mm,
realistically, when your unhealedness has an impact on someone that had nothing to do with it, then to me, you're transcribing, you're basically blurring and bleeding over to something or someone else. Mm-mm. That to me should be dealt with. It should really be dealt with, and
it,
even go back to I'll go back to our initial when you spoke of the video again. This woman when she's this angry at Layla Ali, I guarantee you it's shown up in her life at other times and other situations and other
mhm.
events because it's just not Layla Ali that she's basically has this animosity towards based on what Layla Ali's father did.
I
So
would venture to say that would be one of the reasons he stepped away in the first place because this was the person you showed up as anyway. And I'm
yeah,
not saying that, giving it an excuse or a reason, but I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not giving an excuse, but I am giving it a reason that this just didn't come from anywhere. This was pretty much probably a cantankerous woman anyway that pushed a person, or and we still make our own choices and decisions, but this is how you showed up there, right? And you kept that going and then you just added to that very thing. But I want to say this, and again, I keep saying accountability because we are. However, I want to add the sad part about it to this though is that when we talk about gender and healing, it's more acceptable for a woman to have emotions and those to be coddled than those to be addressed.
hello, 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 and yes, there it is, Renee. And that's part of the reason why healing doesn't really happen because if let's just take a hypothetical, a mother looks at her grown woman, her child that's grown into a grown man and doesn't see any illness, she may never speak to that child about that illness. She may
Mm,
never say, my child, my daughter, you need to basically work through this. She just allow her to plot through because she's a woman and she wants to coddle her. We're so with men, it's a little different. Not saying it's a lot, but it's a little different. If you come to me, you're a male, and you're dealing with some things, I'm gonna try to work you through it. I say, bro, you gotta let that go. It's time to move on. And here's the reason why. I'm not jumping with you and basically grabbing a martini, grabbing a glass of wine, and allow you to basically throw a pity party and then give you my pity. And that's what tends to happen. So if it's comfortable and it's basically you have an environment that basically makes you feel, you don't have to heal. No, stay right here. There
mm,
goes the focus of unhealing because
mhm,
you're surrounding an environment. Like I said earlier, fish tend to swim with the same type of fish. So if
mm.
there's fish that you're swimming with, they ain't unhealed either. Of course, they're going to invite you in, come on in, and basically before you know it, 5, 10, 15, 20 years then went by and you haven't addressed what should have been addressed a long time ago.
Well, Mark, absolutely. Definitely co-sign. And again, I'm very transparent with my own life because I know that people are won over by the words of my testimony. So I'm transparent with sharing things about me. It's funny that you said that because that is more of a logical male thing. With me, with my daughter, I showed up that way with her, right? Now, funny enough, I remember her being like about 14 or 15 and having like her little breakup with her crush at school. So don't laugh, right? But I turned it into a commercial. Like I literally did. I went and got a bag of Hershey Kisses and I passed her a kiss. And, with every little kiss, I gave her an affirmation or something positive because I'm just kind of that, theatrical mom. So I did that. But after a while, it was just like, so now that we're processing that, we can't sit and stay in that, right? We have to move past that, take it as a learning lesson, blah, blah, blah. And Mark, what's crazy, because it goes back to the statement of what a woman looks like or what a female looks like when she's holding another female accountable. My daughter actually grew up saying that I was emotionally unavailable.
Hmm. Wait a minute. Make sure I heard this correctly. She she grew up and said that you was emotionally unavailable.
Because I didn't coddle the emotions.
Well,
I recognized them, I validated them, and then I'm like, let's process past them. And with doing so, it was like, again, in our conversation, she was like, Mom, you were emotionally unavailable. But I was the mother that sat there and gave you the kisses. And we talked about it. I just didn't let you sit and what is it, super, or let you simmer in those emotions and coddle them to the point where I don't allow you to grow.
okay. Well, I would think possibly too. She might be talking about other circumstances, but it's
No,
possible that
no,
she's kind of
we
switching
were
them.
talking about that. She was just saying I wasn't emotional. And it's just odd,
So,
again, like I said, with the women, I just didn't play to my emotions.
so she when she makes that statement to you or made that statement to you, she's only speaking to that one particular incident.
No, no, I'm saying she's saying that because I'm giving an example of
Mm-hmm.
how it would not be really not being emotionally unavailable, but not coddling someone's feelings and letting them stay stuck. No, what I'm saying is overall, I showed up just like what you were saying in presenting more logic than I did staying stuck with the emotions. And so that was my character as a person. No, I was emotionally there and I gave you feelings. I just didn't set in them. I didn't allow you to go days on end feeling sorry, feeling depressed, going here. It's like, no, we're not doing that every day. So what I'm saying is earlier when I were talking about how if a woman or a female checks another, not female checks them, but if a female holds another female accountable, that like I said, she can look catty, she can look jealous, she could look mean as mean girl. So when we show up to hold the accountable, to give another female the accountability, then just using my daughter as an example, it can look like we are, as she said, emotionally disconnected because we're holding you accountable where society says, no, we're going to coddle the feeling. We're going to go ahead and keep rubbing you. And I mean, Mark, it is what it is. I'm not the female. Don't keep hugging on me if I'm navigating my emotions, because to me, you're trying to co-sign my emotions and keep me stuck there. And I don't want to be there. I want to process past them. I don't
Yeah.
want to be the Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali ex-wife. I don't want to sit in something for years without addressing it.
No, I get that. I don't think the way you handled that situation. Now again, I was saying a little bit that she may have been trying to say that in a general sense. I hope not. She's just kind of speaking to that particular situation. And realistically, I think your daughter was better for the way you handle it.
I
Now
think
she
so too.
now she may not feel it at the time or feel that it could have been done differently.
Hmm.
And one thing I will say about that particular situation, you handle like a mom, not like a
Hmm.
girlfriend. And
Mm,
sometimes our kids want us to be friends when we just can't be. We just
mm,
can't be. We have to be the parent. And you handle it like a parent should have handled it for the most part. You were
yeah.
sweet in the beginning, you were tender, you spoke to it, but you let her know you must move past this. This too will pass.
Hmm.
And a lot of times we're afraid to do that with our children because we're going to think they're going to push back and say something. But in reality, that is life.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
we could talk about healing women night and day, but when you step out into the real world, they don't care about your healing.
Absolutely.
No
And that's what
one, no one cares about your healing. You can feel about it all day, cry all day, whatever. But in reality, the world doesn't care about your healing. They may
um
speak like they do. They may act like they do. But the honest truth is, no one cares.
Mark, I think we wrote the same page in the book. Literally, I know my kids were so sick of hearing that. Like, the world don't care about you. I am making sure that you're able to positively and effectively navigate throughout this world. When you step outside this home, it's not the same. They don't have to love you like I love you. Like, that was always my megaphone speech, because it's absolutely right. We have to prepare people, and especially with their emotional intelligence, we have to prepare them for what's in the schools, what's in the workforce. We have to prepare these children to go out there and do that. Mark, I was the person that was like, no, when we're running a race, there isn't two winners. There's a first place and a second place. If you came in second, you didn't win. That was just how I am, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not playing to the, oh, let's just help. No, because you're not helping that person become emotional aware. I mean, emotionally mature. And I wanted to say that to that part of healing. A lot of times, right, we can't heal because if we've had trauma at a certain age, intellectually and emotionally, that's where we're stuck. So if you're trying to help this woman heal or help someone heal, but they're still stuck at that place, just like this lady in this video, you're still stuck at 20 years ago. So developmentally, emotionally, you're still at about 20 or 40 years old because you didn't allow yourself to grow from there. You got stuck right there. So somebody that may even try to help you, they have to actually now help you at the developmental psychological age you are, and then pull you up. Do you understand what I mean?
No, I understand exactly what you mean. I heard this a few times that a lot of times we tend not to progress emotionally past where we got hurt at that
Yes.
particular age. It does happen. But I want to ask this because for me, how does someone basically get hurt at an earlier age, or this woman for the most part? I won't even say a certain. Let's go to the woman that was speaking against Layla Ali. How could she have basically handled that differently?
Hmm.
Being that she was with Muhammad Ali, she said he cheated on her. What could she have? Well, how could she have basically responded to that differently over the years?
You know what? It really, whew, first of all, sitting with her feelings. Mark, people are afraid of their feelings. They can analyze, project, touch on somebody else's feelings, but when we have to sit with our own, and I think we talked about this before, that means you have to do something about the information that you find within yourself or about yourself. And I think, especially with women, sitting with our feelings um, can sometimes make us feel too vulnerable, or feel like we're not strong enough, or we're not good enough, or things of that nature. And especially just in this situation, apparently, of course, her husband stepping out and producing a child or whatever, that brought on so many things. And again, I don't know this woman, so I don't know her past, but only in my professional stance would venture to say that there has been some areas of abandonment or rejection, or some identity crisis or issues within herself, that when he did that, the pain that it caused her also to do what we call also like fight and flight. Instead of fighting for her emotional development, her emotional growth, she sat in it and just allowed it to be, because she was afraid of her feelings. So I would say to handle that differently, to sit with those and to accept, okay, I'm hurt. That devastated me. That made me feel a certain way. I need help in processing, or I need help with these feelings. And how can I change what I'm feeling by changing my perception and my thought process? And I'm going to say this and I'm going to let you go. I remember when I was in that place and I was crying to my cousin, and I just was like, and this, and I was hurt and I was angry. And she said, did you have any positive moments in that relationship?
Hello.
And I was like, yeah. Okay, well, then focus on that. So I would say, there had to be some great moments in her marriage, this woman that we're speaking about. Hey, turn that perception and focus on that, because that would be a part of you being able to come up out of staying stuck on the negativity. And I just want to say this, Mark, I hope she comes back and apologizes.
Hmm. That would be nice. Remarkable Renee or Mark Elliott is no topic left behind. We get together and this is what we do. We take something and we kind of bring different perspectives to it. I love that answer. I love it. I really do. And ironically, it's interesting how when things happen in life, we gravitate more to the negative than the positive.
Yeah.
And we will basically put a 10 up on the negative, live there, enjoy it. And when I say enjoy it, we cycle it back and forth, go through it, analyze it to this to
Make a
nausea.
memorial.
Yes, when we really basically there's some good. There had to be. And if there
Mhm.
was no good, why were you there? Why were
Right.
you there? So no, that I love that response because there lies the path of basically starting the healing process. And
Absolutely.
it's not as hard as we think.
It's oh,
It's
it's
not as hard. A lot of times it boils down to making a choice, making a decision to
mm-hmm.
say, I'm going to work myself through this, that I
Mm-hmm.
am. But we, like you spoke of earlier about pinching the tent, it happens more time than not. And
Yeah.
that's why earlier I wanted to focus in on why they're not healing, why they're not
Mm-hmm.
taking accountability to heal.
Yeah.
Because, and when I think we did a good job, showing some reasons why, it's because they're supported in their non-healing.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
she made that statement that he cheated on me and blah blah blah. You know how many other women basically can identify with that and basically clapped? Maybe not
I
put their
know.
hands together, but basically felt the need to clap and not realizing, looking at it in totality that Layla had nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with it.
Nothing. She wasn't brought here based on the mere fact because of that. God decided her to come here for one reason or not. And it came through
Absolutely.
him basically whatever he did. And we don't go that far in our thinking. We're narrow minded. We think with
Absolutely.
blinders on. So you're sitting here blaming her as a child. Probably was, of course, mean to her as a child. Because if you're looking at this way as an adult, there's no way in the world you showed her grace and love when she was a child. And
Absolutely.
and this is not basically singular to that woman. So that's why I speak on it this way, because there's a lot of situations where that's happened and the child should not be held accountable.
And the thing about it is too, Mark, this situation and many others, I don't think people uh, take the time to look at what lesson did I learn from this experience, right? We're too hyper focused on projecting and what someone else has done to us or how someone else has made us feel in a negative sense if when we're talking about the negative, but having, like I said, sitting with your emotions, sitting with your feelings, but also going, what lesson do I learn, so one, I don't repeat it, and then I become mature enough that I can actually teach it to someone else.
Ooh, man, 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 man. There it is. And there it
Yeah.
is. I love how we basically took this. And ironically, it started from a small video clip, maybe about a minute long,
Hmm.
and you pulled a lot out of it. When you sent it to me, I was like, wow, there's a lot here. And you pulled a lot out of it. I love the part of the blended family. I don't think her and, those two families blended, when we speak of blended families, but I love how you saw that side of it because there are a lot of blended families that we're around. There are a lot, and some of these blended families come from situations that happen like that. Let's say where Muhammad Ali may have moved on for the most part and been with Layla Ali's mother, and now his
Absolutely.
kids has to interact with Layla Ali. His kids have to basically act. I think back to go way way back prior to my father and mother, becoming husband and wife. My father had three children,
Hmm.
three, and for the most part, he didn't tell my mother prior to becoming husband and wife. She found out after, and her thing was never to let us know about them.
Right.
So
Right.
when I aged and became aware, I mean that's her choice. I'm not mad at her for it, but I would have loved. I've learned about one of my sisters. Whoa, I was in my 30s.
Hmm.
And I learned about my sisters actually in my 30s. But I always said to myself, I would have loved to know them from day one.
Oh, Mark, you
Grown.
said something really we always do. You said something very impactful, because that's what
Yes.
I was about to say, that when we don't heal, or when we do something in that nature, we're affecting the next generation,
Hello.
impacting them in a negative way. We're not teaching them how to be family, how to grow, how to cohabitate with each other, because we're doing the separation. And I don't want to take it too far, but I do want to take it this place. We're sometimes, because when we go back to the generations before us, they're operating also out of what they know. They know separation. They know, the slave mentality that, if we separate, we conquer. So it's like, indirectly, and sometimes maybe directly, that's what we do. We repeat the same behaviors, and that's why it's so important for that healing, so the next generation doesn't have to already feast off of the poison that you've given them to eat, even before they can fix their own meals.
Yes, indeed. And again, I mean, no anger towards her, but I would have loved to basically experience my sisters,
Yeah.
from year one. And ironically, when I did get a chance, there was two sisters, to basically have developed a relationship with those two. One of my sisters, she's passed now. She passed a few years ago. And I've always said this when she was here, and I'll say it now. The two sisters I grew up with, she was a more sister to me than those two could ever probably be.
Mm, yeah.
And there's nothing against them, but the truth is the light, and that's what the truth is for me. We
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
connected that way, and I'm grateful for the time that I had a good amount of time to basically be brother and sister with her. But think about, if I'm coming to understand her at 32, 33,
Mm-hmm.
that meant to me I missed a good 20 some odd, maybe 30 years of really interacting with her.
Right,
And,
right.
here again, that was the choice. And I understand the hurt that my mother carried
Yeah,
and
yeah.
basically what she felt, and not thinking for the most part, I want my kids to be part. So, as we spoke of earlier, and maybe she never heals from that. It's a
Right.
possibility. But that unhealing, for the most part, tampered with a relationship that I could have had with my blood sister.
Yeah, but and I would venture to add this though. Even in her hurt, she still had enough emotional intelligence to not spew it and make it negative, and to put more damage to it though.
That's true. Thankful for that. That is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. You sound like you know my mama.
Maybe a little bit, only because of talking to her son. How about that? And see, that's a big thing. We do carry some of the products of our and characteristics of our parents. So even with, no, there's no book on being a perfect parent, but you can always tell from the offspring how, or a lot about how they were navigated in their rearing.
Wow, look out now. Look out, look out, look out. Renee, I think we've done this justice. And as we start to move away and get out of this one, take the last word.
I want to say that, for all of the believers and for all those who may become believers, I look at these blended families and these healings from the Bible. I do. I mean, if we understand, know, or even believe or know the story of Mary and Joseph, Joseph was not the bio parent to Jesus. They were blended. Do you understand what I'm saying? And for Jesus also to have like other siblings, it's probably enough in that book that we don't know, or whatever the case may be. But we knew enough that we had a blended family that had to navigate a lot of healing, right? A lot of understanding, a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy, a lot of self-reflection to make that work. And so I think that when we look at ourselves and we look in the mirror with the creator, we get to then let that mirror reflect those things in us that we really need to deal with, so we make it better for ourselves, for the people around us, for our community, and basically for everybody.
Well said. Well said. She's remarkable, Renee. I'm Mark Elliott, and we are No
No
Topic Left
topic
Behind.
left behind.
We'll do it again real soon. Take care of yourself. God bless.